You know what they expected, don't you? They expected the collapse, the predictable, familiar spiral into chaos, the tears, the begging, the desperate attempts to explain yourself, to chase their validation, to claw for even the smallest piece of their attention. That's what they were waiting for. Because it's easy, isn't it? It's easy to predict someone's downfall when you think you hold all the power. They thought they knew you. They thought they'd written your script. In their minds, they could see it all, the sleepless nights, the broken heart, the shattered confidence. They expected to see you crumble, weak and powerless, defined by their rejection, their betrayal, their indifference. That's what they wanted to see. And let's be honest, maybe for a moment, that's exactly what you gave them. Maybe you cried, maybe you begged, maybe you even chased. For a moment, you let their actions define your reaction, and that's okay, because you're human. But now, it's time to flip the script. What if, instead of breaking, you hit them with something they never saw coming? A smile. Not just any smile, but a smile so radiant, so unapologetic, it blinds them. A smile so full of life, joy and power that it forces them to confront a truth they were never prepared to face. They didn't break you. Can you imagine their faces? The confusion, the disbelief, the discomfort. Because in their world, your collapse was a foregone conclusion. They thought their rejection, their betrayal, their indifference would be the final blow. But instead, you smiled. A smile isn't just a reaction. It's a revolution. It's a declaration that their words, their actions, their absence hold no power over you. It's a refusal to play the role they assigned you. And that's what terrifies them the most. They expected you to cry. They expected you to drown in self-pity, to lash out, to crumble. They never expected you to rise. And a smile? Oh, a smile is the most powerful way to rise. When you smile, you're not just showing joy, you're showing strength, you're showing resilience. You're showing them that their actions may have hurt, but they didn't destroy. Your smile says, I am still here, I am still standing, and I am still me. It's not easy, is it? To smile when your heart aches, when your spirit feels crushed. But that's what makes it so powerful. That's what makes it so unexpected. Because your smile in the face of their rejection, their betrayal, their indifference, isn't just a smile. It's a mirror that forces them to see their own failures, their own flaws, their own smallness. They don't deserve your tears. They don't deserve your anger. What they deserve is the realization that they never had the power to break you in the first place. And your smile? It's the loudest way to say it. So smile, not because it's easy, not because it's fake, but because it's the truest thing you can do. Smile because you've decided that their actions don't define your worth. Smile because you've chosen to take your power back. Smile because they never saw it coming. Let them see it. Let them feel it. Let them be blinded by it. Because when they expected you to break, when they were waiting to watch you fall apart, you smiled. And that's something they'll never forget. So affirm with me right now, I rise smiling. Say it out loud, write it down, and drop it in the comments below. Let the world know you're not just surviving, you're thriving. You're showing them strength in its purest form. And if this message hit home, if it stirred something inside you, then hit that like button and subscribe right now. Don't stop there. Share this with someone who needs to see it. Let's spread this power, this resilience, this light. Let's keep rising. Together. Number 1. They set the trap, but you hold the key. It was all so deliberate, wasn't it? The words they used, the way they withdrew their affection, the tiny acts of dismissal that chipped away at your confidence. Each piece was carefully laid, like bait in a trap. They wanted you to fall into it, to question yourself, to cling tighter, to believe their approval was the only way you'd ever feel whole. But here's the truth they didn't account for. The trap they set only works if you stay inside it. And the key? You've been holding it the entire time. Think about it. What's the first thing you feel when someone you care about rejects you? Fear. The fear of not being enough. The fear of losing them forever. The fear that their opinion defines your worth. That fear is their bait. It's the hook they dangle in front of you, knowing it's all too easy to fall for. But what if I told you that fear is a lie? A mirage designed to keep you stuck, walking in circles, forever chasing something you already have within yourself. Here's a metaphor for you. Imagine you're a bird trapped in a cage. The door is wide open, but you've been trained to believe it's locked. Every time you think about flying, you hear their voice in your head. You can't make it out there. You'll fall. You're not strong enough. And so, you stay. Not because you can't fly, but because you've convinced yourself it's safer to stay where you are. But here's the truth. The cage isn't real, and their voice is nothing but noise. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." What does that mean for you? It means their rejection, their manipulation, their opinions. They don't hold the power. You do. They can set all the traps they want, but as long as you control your mind, their snares can't hold you. I know what you're thinking. What if they're right? What if I'm not enough? Let me stop you right there. You are enough, not because they said so, but because you exist, because you've endured, because every moment you've doubted yourself and still managed to take another step forward is proof of your strength. The fact that you're here, right now, reading this, tells me you're not just enough, you're extraordinary. But the fear, right? It's still there. You're scared to walk out of their trap because what's on the other side feels unknown. At least in the trap, you know what to expect. The pain is familiar, the doubt is predictable. But here's the thing about traps. They don't grow. They don't change. They don't allow you to become who you're meant to be. Ask yourself this. How much longer are you willing to stay in a place that keeps you small? How much more of your time, your energy, your life are you willing to sacrifice for someone who didn't see your value to begin with? Because that's what the trap is. A place where your light is dimmed, your potential is wasted, and your heart is suffocated. You've been holding the key all along. It's in every choice you make. Every time you decide to prioritize your peace, your growth, your happiness, you're unlocking the door. Every time you set a boundary and refuse to let them dictate your worth, you're stepping out of the cage. And every time you smile in the face of their doubts, you're proving to yourself and to them that you're unstoppable. Here's the reality. They set the trap because they're afraid. Afraid of losing the control they never should have had. Afraid of what you'll become when you realize you don't need them. Afraid of your power, your light, your potential. Your freedom isn't just your liberation. It's their reckoning. Because when you walk out of their trap, they're forced to confront the fact that their manipulation, their rejection, their games didn't work. So, let me ask you, are you ready to walk out? Are you ready to use the key you've been holding all this time? Because freedom is waiting. The kind of freedom that doesn't just liberate you, it transforms you. Affirm it with me right now. I hold the key to my freedom. Say it, write it, feel it. Drop it in the comments below as your declaration. Because this isn't just about walking out of the trap. It's about stepping into your power, reclaiming your life, and never looking back. And let me tell you, This is just the beginning. In the next chapter, we're going to talk about the expectations they had, the game they tried to play, and the moves you'll make that will leave them stunned. Stay with me, because what's coming next is the strategy they never saw coming. Let's unlock it together. Number 2, the weapon of expectations. They expected you to break. Let's not sugarcoat it. They crafted this whole situation with one goal in mind: your destruction. Every word, every action, every dismissal was calculated to plant seeds of doubt in your mind. Because that's how they operate. Expectations aren't just assumptions, they're weapons. Weapons they wield to control, manipulate, and dismantle you. You see, expectations are powerful because they're invisible chains. They don't just tell you what others think you should do. They make you believe that deviating from their script means failure. If you don't react this way, you're heartless. If you don't chase me, you're weak. If you don't fight for my attention, you're worthless. That's the narrative they want you to accept. That's how they keep you running in circles. But let's call it what it really is: a game. They set the rules. They decide how you're supposed to react. And when you follow their script, it's not just your actions they control. It's your mind, your emotions, your life. But what happens when you refuse to play? What happens when you rip up their rulebook and throw it back in their face? That's the move they never see coming. Because when you don't meet their expectations, when you don't give them the reaction they were hoping for, their power crumbles. Think about it. Why do they rely so heavily on your predictability? Because it keeps them safe. It reassures them that no matter how badly they treat you, no matter how deeply they wound you, you'll respond in a way that reinforces their control. Anger, they can dismiss it. Tears, they can manipulate it. Desperation, they can use it. But a smile, calm confidence, silence, that's a weapon they can't counter. Here's a metaphor for you. Imagine a chessboard. They've spent their time studying your moves, anticipating your every reaction. They think they've already won. But then, instead of following the expected pattern, you flip the board, you break the game, and suddenly they're left floundering, exposed and powerless. That's the power of shattering their expectations. Marcus Aurelius once said, "If you are pained by external things, it is not they that disturb you, but your own judgment of them. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment." Their expectations only hurt you when you allow them to dictate your judgment of yourself. The moment you decide their rules don't apply to you anymore, you take their weapon and turn it into your shield. Let me guess. You've been told you're supposed to feel devastated, right? That you're supposed to chase them, to beg for closure, to fight for something that's already gone. But let me hit you with the truth. You don't owe anyone the reaction they expect. Not your tears, not your anger, not your energy. You owe them nothing. You might be wondering, but if I don't react, doesn't that mean I don't care? Absolutely not. Choosing not to react isn't indifference, it's strength. It's refusing to give them the satisfaction of knowing they've rattled you. It's reclaiming your energy, your time, your mind. Because the second you stop reacting the way they expect, you disrupt their entire narrative. And that disruption, it's devastating to them. They thrive on control, on knowing they can push your buttons and make you dance to their tune. But when you don't react, when you stay calm, composed, and confident, you take away the one thing they thought they had over you: power. Let me ask you this. What's more powerful than exceeding their expectations? Breaking them. They expected your collapse. Give them your rise. They expected your tears. Give them your smile. They expected your desperation. Give them your peace. Every time you refuse to meet their expectations, you're rewriting the script. You're taking the weapon they tried to use against you and turning it back on them. This isn't just about them. This is about you. About proving to yourself that you're not someone who crumbles under pressure. About showing yourself that you're stronger, wiser, and more capable than they ever gave you credit for. Every time you defy their expectations, you're stepping further into your power. You're reclaiming your story. You're showing them, and yourself, that you're not the person they thought they could control. Affirm it with me right now. I break their expectations. Say it. Believe it. Write it in the comments. Drop it as your declaration that their rules no longer apply to your life. And let me tell you something. This is just the beginning. In the next chapter, we're going to explore what happens when you stop running in their storms and start standing still. Stick with me, because what comes next will show you how to become the calm in the chaos they tried to create. Let's break free together. Number 3. The art of standing still while they run circles. Chaos. That's their favorite weapon, isn't it? They stir the pot, create drama, push your buttons, and watch as you scramble to keep up. It's a game to them, one where they set the pace, and you exhaust yourself, trying to meet their expectations, trying to keep the peace, trying to make sense of the chaos they've designed just for you. But what happens when you stop running? Imagine this. They're in the middle of a storm they've created, spinning wildly, hoping to pull you into the whirlwind. But instead of chasing after them, instead of fighting the winds or letting yourself get carried away, you stop. You stand still. You plant your feet firmly in your truth, your power, your peace. And that's the move they can't handle, because their chaos only works if you engage with it. When you don't, they're left running in circles, frantic, confused, and powerless. The storm loses its strength when you refuse to feed it. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That's the essence of standing still. It's not about surrendering or ignoring the storm. It's about refusing to let it dictate your actions. When you stop reacting to their chaos, you reclaim the power they were counting on stealing from you. Here's a truth they don't want you to know. Chaos is their mask. It's a distraction, a smokescreen to hide their own insecurities, their lack of control, their fear of being exposed. When they stir up drama, it's not about you, it's about them. And when you stop reacting, when you stand still, you force them to face the very thing they were trying to escape, themselves. You might be wondering, but if I don't react, doesn't that mean I'm letting them win? Not at all. Reacting is what gives them the win. Every time you lash out, defend yourself, or try to fix the mess they've made, you're playing their game. But standing still, that's the ultimate move of power. It says, your chaos doesn't control me. Your storm doesn't define me. Standing still doesn't mean doing nothing. It means being intentional. It means choosing peace over reaction, calm over chaos, and strength over submission. It's about staying grounded in who you are, no matter how hard they try to shake you. Think about it. What happens when someone throws a stone into a still lake? The ripples are obvious, dramatic, attention-grabbing. But what happens when the water refuses to move? The stone sinks, forgotten, powerless. That's the art of standing still. Their chaos is the stone, and your stillness is the water that refuses to ripple. But let's be real, standing still isn't easy. It takes courage to hold your ground when everything around you is screaming for a reaction. It takes strength to resist the urge to defend yourself, to explain yourself, to prove them wrong. But that's exactly what makes it so powerful. Because when you stand still, you're not just defying their chaos, you're transcending it. Let me ask you, how many times have you let their storm dictate your actions? How many times have you let their chaos pull you away from your peace? And how much longer are you willing to let them run your life? Here's the truth. Standing still is how you break the cycle. It's how you reclaim your energy, your time, your sanity. Every time you choose not to engage, every time you stay calm in the face of their chaos, you're teaching yourself and them that you're not someone who can be easily controlled. You're the calm in the storm, the stillness in the chaos, the strength they never saw coming. Affirm it with me right now. I am the calm in the chaos. Write it in the comments. Say it out loud. Let it be your mantra every time they try to pull you into their storm. And let me tell you, this is just the beginning. In the next chapter, we'll talk about the weight you've been carrying, weight that was never yours to bear, and how letting it go will set you free. Stick with me, because the journey to your power is just getting started. Let's stand tall together. Number 4. Your pain was never yours to carry. Imagine this. You're walking through life with a heavy backpack. At first, you think it's just your own belongings, your dreams, your responsibilities, your emotions. But over time, you notice the weight doesn't feel right. It's heavier than it should be. You open the bag, and what do you find? Rocks. Rocks that don't belong to you. Rocks they handed you and convinced you to carry. Every insult, every rejection, every act of indifference. They weren't just moments. They were stones they slipped into your bag when you weren't looking. You're not enough. Stone. You'll never succeed. Another stone. You're hard to love. One more stone. And you've been carrying them, haven't you? Lugging that weight around, telling yourself it's your burden to bear. But here's the truth they never wanted you to realize. That weight was never yours to carry. Those stones, they're projections. They're the insecurities, fears, and failures they didn't want to face themselves. So, they handed them to you, hoping you'd bear the burden, hoping you'd be too distracted by the weight to realize what was happening. Let me hit you with a hard truth. Their pain, their flaws, their inability to love you the way you deserved. It was never about you. It was always about them. But instead of owning their baggage, they made it your problem. And you, out of love, out of hope, out of fear, carried it for them. Think about it. How many times have you blamed yourself for their actions? How many sleepless nights have you spent wondering what you did wrong, what you could have done differently? How many moments of peace have you sacrificed trying to fix wounds that were never yours to heal? It's time to drop the bag, to set it down and walk away. Because the longer you carry their pain, the further you get from your own peace. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Let this be your reaction, no more. No more carrying the weight of their failures, their cruelty, their indifference. No more blaming yourself for the things they refuse to face. Say it with me. This weight is not mine. Write it in the comments. Drop it as your declaration of freedom. Because the moment you let go of their pain, you make space for your healing, your growth, your joy. And in the next chapter, we'll talk about burning the bridges they keep trying to cross and building a future they can't touch. Let's move forward together. Number 5. Burn the bridge they keep trying to cross. Picture this. A rickety bridge connects you to someone who's long since left your life. It's worn, unstable, barely holding together. But every time they feel the pull of regret, every time they see your strength rising, they try to cross it again. They come back, Not because they've changed, not because they value you, but because they crave the comfort of knowing you're still there, waiting. And you've let them, haven't you? Again and again, you've rebuilt that bridge, patched the cracks, reinforced the ropes, hoping this time they'd cross it with the respect and care you deserve. But what happens every time? They walk across, take what they need, and leave you standing on the other side, broken and waiting. It's time to stop. It's time to burn the bridge. You see, bridges like this don't connect you to healing. They connect you to the past, to pain, to cycles of manipulation, to someone who has already shown you who they are. By keeping that bridge intact, you're giving them access to your peace, your energy, your heart. Why? Why give them a path back into a place they only know how to destroy? Burning the bridge doesn't mean hate. It doesn't mean revenge. It means freedom. It's the moment you choose yourself over the hope that they'll change. It's the moment you stop sacrificing your progress for the sake of their temporary presence. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." Every time you let them back in, you allow their chaos to stain your peace, their lies to cloud your truth. Burning the bridge is your declaration that their influence ends here. I know what you're thinking, but what if they've changed? What if this time it's different? Ask yourself, how many times have you thought that before? How many chances have you given, only to end up in the same place? Burn the bridge, not because you're bitter, but because you're ready to build something better. Say it with me. I burn the bridge. Write it in the comments. Let it be your commitment to yourself, to protect your peace, to preserve your progress, to reclaim your life. Because the only thing that belongs in your future is the version of you that's stronger, wiser, and untouchable. Let's move forward together. Number 6. Smile as they realize they've lost their hold. They thought they owned you. Let's not sugarcoat it. They believed they had you under control. They assumed their words, their rejection, their indifference would keep you tethered to them, running in circles, begging for their attention. You were their safety net, their emotional anchor, their proof that they were the one with the power. But what they didn't count on was you waking up. They didn't expect you to break the cycle. They didn't anticipate the moment when you'd look in the mirror and realize something life-changing. They don't hold the strings anymore. You do. And nothing shakes them more than seeing you rise, unbothered, unstoppable. Nothing terrifies them like seeing the smile they never thought you'd find again. Here's the thing about people who manipulate, who betray, who take more than they give. Their power doesn't come from who they are. It comes from how you respond to them. They thrive on your tears, your anger, your desperate need to prove yourself. But the moment you stop reacting, the moment you reclaim your peace, they lose everything. Imagine this. They come back. Maybe not physically, but through subtle gestures. A message here, a social media post there, a sudden like on a picture they ignored before. They're testing the waters, trying to see if they can still rattle you, still control your emotions. But instead of reacting, you smile. Not a fake smile, a real one. A smile that says, "I see you, but you no longer define me." That's the moment their world begins to crack. Because they realize they've lost something they never thought they could lose. Their hold over you. Their ability to manipulate you, to sway your emotions, to dictate your worth. It's gone. And the power they thought they had? It was never theirs in the first place. You simply handed it to them, and now you've taken it back. Let's be clear, this isn't about revenge. Your smile isn't a weapon to hurt them. It's a declaration of your freedom. It's proof that their actions didn't destroy you. It's a reminder that while they tried to break you, they only succeeded in making you stronger. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Reject your sense of injury, and the injury itself disappears." By smiling, by refusing to give them the reaction they expect, you're rejecting their control. You're taking the injury they inflicted and turning it into armor. I know what you're thinking. But doesn't smiling let them think they've won? Not at all, because here's the truth. They've already lost. They lost the moment you stopped reacting. They lost the moment you chose peace over chaos. They lost the moment you decided your happiness wasn't tied to their approval. Your smile is your strength. It's your light in the darkness they tried to create. It's the one thing they can't touch, can't manipulate, can't take away. And every time you smile, you're not just reclaiming your power. You're forcing them to face their own weakness. Think about it. They expected you to crumble, to drown in self-pity, to chase after the scraps of their attention. But instead, they see someone who's thriving, glowing, smiling. It's a reflection of everything they've lost, and it's the one truth they can't escape. So, let me ask you, how much longer are you going to let their hold linger in your mind? How much longer will you give them space in a life that no longer belongs to them? It's time to let them watch as you rise, as you smile, as you build a future they'll never be part of. Affirm it with me right now. My smile is my power. Write it in the comments. Say it out loud. Let it echo in your heart. Because this isn't just about them. It's about you. It's about finding joy, strength, and light in a world that tried to take it from you. And let me tell you, the best part is yet to come. In the next chapter, we'll talk about building a fortress so strong that their absence becomes irrelevant. Stick with me, because your rise is only beginning. Let's keep moving forward, one powerful smile at a time. Number 7. Building a fortress from the ashes. Picture this: the ruins of everything they tried to destroy, the pieces of your heart they shattered, the confidence they chipped away at, the dreams they thought they could bury. They left you standing in the wreckage, convinced that you'd never rise, never rebuild. But what they didn't know? Ashes aren't the end, they're the beginning. The beauty of destruction is that it clears the way for something greater. What they thought was your breaking point was actually the foundation for something indestructible, your fortress. And this fortress, it's not built on the lies they told you, the doubt they planted, or the rejection they left behind. It's built on truth, resilience, and the undeniable strength you've carried all along. You see, people like them thrive on tearing others down because they lack the ability to build anything themselves. They don't understand that when you strip someone to their core, you don't leave them powerless, you leave them unstoppable. Because what rises from the ashes isn't just stronger, it's untouchable. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Your fortress starts with that realization. It begins the moment you stop focusing on what they took and start focusing on what you're creating. The ashes of your pain are the bricks. The lessons you learned are the mortar, and the boundaries you set. They're the walls that make sure no one like them ever enters again. Think about it. How many times have you tried to rebuild by going back to them? By reopening doors that should have stayed shut, by seeking closure in places where only more pain waited. But this fortress isn't about going back. It's about moving forward. It's about protecting your energy, your peace, your heart, and building a life so strong, so radiant, that their absence becomes irrelevant. This fortress isn't just for you. It's for the future you're creating. It's for the relationships that will nurture you, the dreams you'll bring to life, the peace that will finally feel permanent. They tried to break you, but all they did was provide the raw materials for the life you were always meant to build. And here's the truth. This fortress will stand long after they're gone. It's a testament to your strength, your resilience, your ability to rise no matter how many times they tried to bring you down. It's the proof that you're not just surviving, you're thriving. So, let me ask you, are you ready to start building? Are you ready to take every rejection, every betrayal, every ounce of pain they handed you, and turn it into the unshakable foundation of your future? Because the moment you decide to rebuild, their power over you crumbles. Affirm it with me right now. I build from the ashes. Write it in the comments. Let it be your declaration, your promise to yourself, your commitment to the life you're creating. And let me tell you, what comes next is unstoppable. In the next chapter, we'll talk about how your silence becomes the loudest sound they'll ever hear. Stick with me. Your rise is only beginning. Let's build this fortress together. Number 8. When your silence becomes the loudest sound. Silence. It's not just the absence of words, it's the presence of power. It's the one thing they never expected from you, the one move they didn't prepare for. They anticipated your anger, your frustration, your desperate attempts to explain yourself. They wanted your noise because noise means they still hold space in your mind. But silence? Silence is a vacuum they can't fill, a void that reflects their irrelevance. Let's be clear. Silence doesn't mean surrender. It's not weakness, and it's definitely not indifference. Silence is strategy. It's choosing to disengage from the chaos they created, refusing to feed their need for attention, and reclaiming your energy for something greater. Silence says, I no longer play your game. I've moved beyond you. Imagine them waiting, watching your social media, expecting a post aimed at them, checking their phone for a message they're sure you'll send, listening for a reaction that never comes. Your silence speaks louder than any words ever could. It screams, you no longer control me. You no longer get to take up space in my life. Marcus Aurelius once said, it is not death that a man should fear, but he should fear never beginning to live. That's the beauty of silence. It's not just a reaction to their actions. It's the beginning of your life without their influence. Every moment you stay silent is a moment you reclaim your voice for yourself. But here's the truth about silence. It's not easy. It takes strength to resist the urge to explain yourself, to defend your worth, to prove them wrong. But that's exactly why silence is so powerful. It's an act of self-control, of self-respect, of choosing your peace over their drama. You might be wondering, won't silence make them think I don't care? Let me tell you something, they already think you care too much. That's the story they've been telling themselves, the narrative they rely on to feel important. Your silence breaks that illusion. It forces them to confront their own insignificance in your life. And that realization, it's deafening. Think of silence as the reset button for your life. Every time you refuse to engage, every time you stay quiet in the face of their noise, you're drawing a boundary. You're saying, this is where you end and I begin. Silence is your way of reclaiming your story, your peace, your power. Let me ask you this. How much time have you wasted explaining yourself to people who never listened? How many sleepless nights have you spent replaying conversations, crafting the perfect words to make them understand? Now imagine putting that energy into yourself. Imagine what you could build if you stopped feeding their need for attention and started pouring into your own growth. Affirm it with me right now. My silence is my power. Say it. Write it in the comments. Let it be your declaration that their noise no longer reaches you, their chaos no longer touches you. And let me tell you, this silence isn't just for now. It's the foundation for what comes next. In the next chapter, we'll talk about turning your silence into a legacy, a life so unshakable, so powerful, that their memory fades into the background. Stick with me. The loudest moments of your life are just beginning. Number 9. The smile that becomes your crown. A smile. It seems so simple, doesn't it? Just a curve of the lips, a flicker of light on your face. But when you wear it after everything they put you through, it becomes a weapon, a crown, and a revolution all at once. They never expected you to smile, not after the way they tore you down, dismissed your worth, and walked away as if you were nothing. They expected you to be defeated, to carry their rejection like a scar. But your smile? Your smile is the proof that they failed. It's not just any smile. It's the kind that shines so brightly it blinds them. It's the kind that says, "I've taken back my power. I've rebuilt myself. And your actions no longer define me." That smile? It's not just joy. It's defiance. It's a reminder that they didn't break you, that you rose from the ashes they thought would bury you. Marcus Aurelius said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." Your smile shows the world the color of resilience, of strength, of self-worth. It's not for them, it's for you. It's the crown you wear every day as a reminder that you've overcome, that you've chosen growth over pain, and that you are unstoppable. Let them see it, let them feel it, because that smile, it's the ultimate victory. It's the declaration that their absence is irrelevant and their attempts to diminish you only made you shine brighter. Affirm it with me right now. My smile is my crown. Drop it in the comments, let it echo in your heart, and let it light up your face. Because you're not just smiling, you're ruling. This is your reign, and it's only beginning. Number 10. The legacy of unbreakable light. A true legacy isn't built in comfort. It's forged in the fire of adversity, in the moments that test you, in the storms that try to drown you. Your light, your unbreakable, undeniable light, is your legacy. It's what shines through when everything else has fallen apart. And the best part, they couldn't extinguish it. They tried, didn't they? With their words, their betrayal, their rejection, they thought they could dim you. They thought if they pushed hard enough, you'd collapse, crumble, disappear into the shadows. But here you are, still standing, still glowing, still lighting up a world they tried to darken. Your resilience is the proof that their efforts failed. Marcus Aurelius said, "What we do now echoes in eternity." And that's what your light does. It echoes. Every step you take toward your strength, every boundary you set, every smile you wear becomes part of the legacy you leave behind. It's not about proving them wrong. It's about showing yourself what you've always been capable of. Your light doesn't just illuminate your path, it inspires others. It shows them what's possible when you refuse to let pain define you. When you take the pieces of your broken heart and build something unshakable. When you walk into every room with a presence that says, "I am whole, I am powerful, and I am enough." Think about it. Who will tell your story? Not the people who doubted you, not the ones who tried to bring you down. The ones who matter are the ones watching you rise, learning from your strength, and finding their own light through yours. That's the power of an unbreakable legacy. It ripples far beyond what you can see. And let's be clear, your legacy isn't about perfection. It's not about never falling, never failing, never breaking. It's about what you do after. It's about rising again and again, no matter how many times life tries to knock you down. It's about the fire that keeps burning inside you, refusing to go out, no matter how hard the world tries to smother it. You might be thinking, what if I'm not enough to leave a legacy? Let me stop you right there. You already have. Every time you chose kindness over bitterness, strength over weakness, growth over stagnation, you created a ripple that changed the world around you. Your existence, your resilience, your light, it's more than enough. So let me ask you, what will your legacy be? Will it be the story of someone who let rejection, betrayal, and doubt steal their power? Or will it be the story of someone who rose, who reclaimed their crown, who built a life so radiant that it lit up the lives of others? Affirm it with me. I leave a legacy of light. Write it in the comments. Let it be your declaration to yourself and to the world. Because this is your moment, not to chase after what's lost, but to create something eternal. And let me tell you, this is just the beginning. Your light isn't just unbreakable, it's transformative. Let's carry it forward together. The world is waiting. You've reclaimed your power, built your fortress, and crowned yourself with a smile that radiates strength. This is your time to rise. No more chasing, no more explaining, no more dimming your light for anyone who couldn't see it. Your legacy begins now, a legacy of resilience, strength, and unbreakable light. So affirm with me, hit that like button, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs this light. Together, let's continue to rise, stronger and brighter than ever. Your reign begins today.